Today I want to talk about how to be a superior man. And there's a lot of things going on today around the challenges in the world that is going to require superior men, spiritual warriors in this time. Who am I talking to? So I don't know if young men watch these talks, but I do know that some older men who are mentors, fathers, teachers, and women, so just a few women, not too many, watch these talks, and maybe this is more for you, but I'm not going to exclude the young men. I just don't know if my language is going to resonate with you. But so what this talk is about. So here's the benefit that you're going to get. So there's being a superior spiritual warrior man is a hard path. It's not for everybody, and most people will shy away from it. Most men will shy away from it. And I have to say that there's definitely a need for women to take this path too. So it's not entirely about men, but I'm gonna tailor this talk to men because here's the thing: if you care about the environment, if you care about human rights, if you care about fairness and equity and compassion, you need young warrior men on your side. And if you lose those young warrior men, we're going to lose all those things. And if you've been paying attention, if you haven't noticed yet, that's what's happening. We're losing young warrior men. They're being seduced by this oversimplicity of these right-wing narratives that honor them. They feel honored in the right-wing narrative and dishonored in the more compassion-oriented narrative. So so basically this talk is about how do you become, or how do you support a man to be the spiritual warrior that we need right now. We need some serious high-level spiritual warriors. We need some Gandhi level, Martin Luther King level spiritual warriors right now. And unfortunately, we're not seeing that in the public realm. That is not what's happening. Because here's the rub, is that we're in a chaotic time, and in this chaotic time, narrow-minded, power-oriented, strong arm bully types are going to rise to the top, and that's what's happening. So I'm sure you've all felt it. You all know what's going on. So this is really a cry to all of my brothers and sisters who care about compassion and earth and equal opportunity and civil rights and human rights, and the peoples around the world who are being taken advantage of. That's and the cultures around the world that are being decimated in the favor of a monolithic single cultural idea in which everybody follows the same culture, the same cultural norms. So how to be a superior man, a spiritual warrior, or to help those men in your life find that path or be on that path. How do we help? How do we get on that path? Well, I think the first thing that comes to mind is, okay, so a couple of notes. If you've made it this far into my talk, these are journal talks. And in this journal talk, thanks for sticking with me. It's a thought process. So I don't believe in these overconfident scholar types who are just like railroading these ideas down. So often those are filled with inconsistencies and overconfidences that sound good but lack true depth and humility, in the sense that truth is above ideology. Too much of what we see today is ideology above truth, and it's got to be said, man, there is truth. And here's an easy way. So let's start there. What is truth? Okay, so you got all these young men and a lot of men being seduced by these false truths that are a simplification that feels good. So there's a couple ideas there to unpack. One is what is truth, and the other is feeling. So I think we should start with feeling, because you, I, and everyone, unless we're trained otherwise, will go to what feels good above truth. So that's the place to start. Like, you have to start with, you got to stop trying to convince people of the truth, because they don't care. You know, everybody says they care about the truth, but none of us do. What we all care about, unless we're trained otherwise, and that's a very difficult task. This is The Way of the Superior. That's a David Data book, The Way of the Superior Male. I like that title. So it's a superior, a spiritual warrior masculine that I'm talking about. I don't know what that book's about. I think I read it years ago. But anyways, it's not that. It's not the David Data stuff. This is something different. It might be similar. I have no idea. But this higher path is one that acknowledges truth, heart-centered living, like Jesus and Buddha, like Gandhi, like MLK, above identity, above righteousness. So I gotta pull over here. There's someone else driving fast behind me. Boy, that was a lot. Let's slow it down. We got what is truth, emotion comes before truth, and for most the untrained emotional body. Identity is always grabbed onto first above truth in the untrained emotional body. And then another key pillar around that is this idea that one of the greatest, if not the greatest evil in the world is righteousness. This righteousness being, I'm right, you're wrong, you need to do it my way. So righteousness is a shield, in most cases, to make it so that we don't feel emotional pain. What the world needs today is men teaching men how to stand up in a world where righteousness is not a good thing. Sometimes it's defined as a good thing. It's not a good thing. Righteousness as the I am right, you are wrong. There is no inquiry. There is no compromise. there is no humility, that righteousness is a destructive force. I mean, if you want to destroy the world, then righteousness is your muse. If that's what you want to do, then be as righteous as you absolutely want to do. Personally, I would like not to destroy the world. I would like there to be a lot of life and harmony and love and joy. That's the world I want to live in. But here's the thing for the young men of our for the young men in this era, and for many men in this era, they're not honored. So there's a great so you have to honor the part of a man that is a warrior protector. So how do you do that? Well, the first thing is you need to acknowledge, so there's this really dumb idea in liberal camps that I don't want to say it's a dumb idea. So there's this disconnect between the power of a young man, or the warrior power of a man, and their role and place in society. So in the way that our country, I'm talking about America right now, and probably around the world too, the way that people are bifurcating into these two camps, you're either seen as like, it's almost like if you move into this camp of these right-wing ideologies, being an asshole, being a dick, not having compassion, being just crushing your enemies, is seen as a good thing. Those are, and it's clearly not. I don't know how we're going to convince the young men that have already adopted this ideology that they basically shifted to the dark side, that they've lost their view of, the code of honor, the code of ethics, the code of conduct. You don't harm women and children. I actually heard on the news that there was some Israeli who was, it was liberal news, and that's fine, because you wouldn't have heard it on a conservative news channel, that there was an Israeli, and then he had a point. His point was they were holding his son as hostage, the Hamas. Really horrific things and horrific people in there. But he said it was okay to kill women and children in order to get his son back. That's not okay. You can't do that. I don't care what battle you're fighting. You do not get to kill women and children. And there's people that are actually in that world right now, I mean, shit, we did that when we bombed the Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Fuck. Excuse my language. Was that okay? I don't know. I kind of don't think so. But that's where we're at right now. We're at this whole cultural shift that's occurring where young men are telling each other that it's okay to kill women and children to get the larger aims that they're striving for. And we have to, okay, so how do we convince, okay, so back to, I got a little on a rant there. Let me get back to center here. So what we need is, these young men are being seduced, rightly so, because they're being honored by a ideology that is ruthless. It's ruthless and lacks compassion, and that's actually being celebrated, which is very challenging for me to accept, but I'm trying to accept it because there's such a whirlwind of cultural ideology around this right now that young men are truly lost. You know, they're like Anakin Skywalker saying to Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars Episode 3, you know, Obi-Wan's like, you were supposed to be the one who brought balance to the Force and not join them, you know, and he's like, you know, the dark side is evil, and Anakin says, from my perspective, the Jedi are evil, and Obi-Wan goes, well, then you are truly lost. So they are truly lost because they think they're fighting for righteousness and goodness, and people are dying. The planet is being it's like another movie that comes to mind is the I can't remember the name. It's the Jim Henson movie, the puppets. Fuck. Oh man. Oh well. The Skeksis. You're not gonna know what I'm talking about, so I'm not even gonna go there. It'll come to me later in the talk. Man, this talk's all over the place. I got a little fired up this morning and lost my center, so I'm going to try to bring it down. So the 3 points are, what is truth? We got to teach young men what truth is. We got to teach young men that about righteous shielding, and that is not truth, because that's what men do. That's what everybody does. But young men especially are being shifted into this righteous shielding thing where they're moving to this identity, these identity politics places. You know, and it's happening on the left too, but I'm not really concerned with that personally, because they're not destroying the institutions of the global system that has sort of held our prosperity and life together. And moving us closer to authoritarian dictatorship and the decline of American economy and civil society. So those are the things that I'm most worried about. So, and you got to understand that one of the reasons I'm giving this talk is because throughout history, the ones that destroy a society or bring about a revolution are the young men. The young, disgruntled men who don't have jobs and opportunities that they want, that can't buy affordable homes, raise families, and have like good opportunities. Those are the people that will bring down a civilization. You know, just think of, it was the young people that were the ones that led Mao's revolution in China. So, it's so sad, man. It's so friggin' sad. What's so sad is to see how encompassing the messaging is from the ideological right-wing camps that are just taking our warriors who should be fighting for Mother Earth, who should be fighting for civil rights, who should be fighting for fair treatment for all humans on Earth. So sad to see it happening. It just breaks my heart, man. But we got to do something. We can't just hide our head in the sand. All right. So what is this talk about? It's about truth. So let's get back to truth. What is truth? Okay. So truth. So here's what truth is, okay? Are you going to believe me? Truth is nature. Everything else is interpretation. Okay? So just start from there. Truth is nature. Religion, philosophy, history, it's all interpretation. But nature is truth. So that would make science truth and physics truth. That's truth. So from there, we can extrapolate from nature. Nature is like the guiding principle. It'll, I don't have time to talk more about that, but nature is truth. So everything should start from, is this aligned with nature? And if the answer is yes, well, then we can have a more intelligent conversation about what we're talking about. So number one, nature is truth. Everything else is interpretation. So that's where you start. So then when people start throwing out, this is the truth, that is the truth, you can just be like, no, nature, physics, that's the truth. The rest of this is an interpretation of truth. And that's where you start. So that's a really wonderful philosophical ground that we can share with men, young men today, as they're trying to navigate the complexities of how to look at the world. Nature is truth, and physics is truth. Nature and physics are basically the same thing. So life itself is so then I would say there's another subset of that, which is the life, what causes life to thrive. That is biological nature. That is another form of truth. That's a subset of truth that is very important and relevant to us on Earth today. The second thing is, I'm almost where I need to be, so let's see if I can wrap this up real quick. The second thing is these emotions come first. So you have to start from a place of stop trying to convince people of anything and start trying to see where they're coming from emotionally, and then help them find a place that feels right, that's not an asshole. Because basically what men are doing is they're gravitating towards this asshole-dom because it shields them. It makes them feel good in their bodies and their minds. They don't know they're doing that, but that's what they're doing. They're trying to shield their bodies, and they're trying to shield their emotional body. So, and then the third thing, so basically you need to work with men's emotions, not with their ideas. And it's funny how, like, in the historical context, people are like, oh, women are emotional and men are not. Like, so fucking wrong. Men are like 10 times more emotional than women. They just bury it underneath all kinds of quasi logic and other shit like that. The last piece is this righteous shielding, and that would be, I don't have time to really talk about it, but just start looking into this idea that righteousness is always the shield that evil men use to kill people, to destroy things, to that's what you never hear of a man who is in a cooperative, conciliatory, hearing like what's going on with other people. You don't hear of them as the evil murderers of history. They're not. They're the ones that bring us to peace and stability and prosperity, which we are. And I know most of you all know this. We are moving away from peace, prosperity, and vitality in the world. We are moving into conflict and chaos, and being accelerated by these righteous ideologies that are moving away from the truth of nature, away from the so that's what this talk is really about. Is like, what we need is we need to create a space for men to feel empowered as they challenge this oversimplified self-righteous ideology, which says that assholes and powers is the way to go, and this other thing is just for transgender folk. So that's the thing that we have to stop. That needs to stop. And it needs to be like the most powerful man is the one who fights the inner battle. The Marcus Aureliuses of the world, they fight the inner battle first, not the outer battle. So that's the thing. Men are not fighting the inner battle. They're fighting an outer battle and missing the inner battle, which would change. They're not seeing the forest for the trees. They're seeing the battle right in front of them, and they think that's the battle, but it's not the battle. The battle is like, whoa, shit, we're heading in the wrong direction. We're heading hard and fast, and we're getting it done, but we're totally heading in the wrong direction. Okay. I hope that was helpful. Seemed like it was all over the place. I'll re-listen to it and see if I'm going to post it. Again, I do coach. And let's bring a community together, and let's do this together. We can't do it alone. We have to come together. Okay, peace.